Got one? Oh, there we go. Yay! What I really enjoy about the show are the constant shifting alliances between the characters, and that way you each could play different color. But I wonder how much of that was organic and how much you already had planned.
As I said, when we started this season, we kind of marked out storylines and characters, but we really let a lot of it evolve episode by episode. So probably what you're seeing, I would say, is 30-40% planned, and the rest of it is just what's going to surprise us, and by extension, surprise everyone else.
Thank you. We have another audience question currently. Oh, someone back there? Want to go to the mic right there?
Yeah. This show is constantly in trouble, not during the third season. If there were a third season, what would the possibilities be for it?
It's a great question. Possibilities for the third season, what's going to happen?
Interestingly enough, literally at this moment, I believe Eric is back in Burbank pitching season 3 to the network.
And we have a live camera.
Yes, exactly. So let's give him a call. No, but I can't give stuff away. You will see in these last 4 episodes, kind of everything comes together in terms of what the Patriots, the Patriot mission comes to a head at the same time that the Nano starts to. It's been taking a very hard look at humanity, its creator, and is finding this lacking. Those two things come together, and you will see at the end of this season, all those things come together, and then things explode apart as well. And something is whispered into Rachel's ear, which changes everything in terms of what was behind the blackout, and it's whispered only to her.
That's true, isn't it? Oh, that's exciting. Even the last 5 minutes of the last episode open up, I think, what season 3 is, like, where I'm kind of excited about it. So it's not going to be long to see what that is. That'd be fun. So we'll look at it.
Next question, please.
Oh, hey.
Hello.
Really love the show. But in terms of the whole thing being aired on the 8 p.m. block, we tend to think that it's more of a family-oriented sort of time. And with Revolution getting darker and darker as this series goes on, I'm kind of wondering how that came to be.
It doesn't seem like an 8 o'clock show, does it? No, I'm with you on
7
that.
o'clock Central Time.
Yeah, that's good.
When we're in Austin, it's on its second, and you really feel it then.
I do a lot of, can I say that? Can we do that? Or is it possible that we can do that? And apparently it is, but
That was a big question for NBC initially, because we'd been a 10 o'clock show.
Yeah.
And when they wanted to move this to 8 o'clock, how much are we going to have to change the show? And I said, it was not a matter of changing the show. They wanted the show kind of what it is. They wanted to be true to the situation, the characters, and all of that. And look, it's this wonderful hybrid of science fiction, some fantasy, and adventure show. Yeah, it's the very fact that Eric put swords into the lead's hands is lost on the thought that it's an adventure show foremost, and
I think it got bloodier. I think when it moved to the 8 o'clock time, they think, oh, all right, well, let's see, all right.
What a casual death.
Casual death.
How much do you talk about how far into the sci-fi realm you want to go? Because, I know that when the show began, it was like, is it a sci-fi show or not? That was sort of the question.
Yeah, and I think Nano was obviously kind of taking us in that direction. As a sci-fi guy, I'm really intrigued by that. In particular, the nanotech, because it's something that's it's coming down the pipe. I mean, it's going to be so impactful in our lives, I think in very short order, and it isn't something that's been explored in Japan television or movies that I know of, to any large degree. So to me, it's kind of fun to be on kind of cutting edge of that aspect. And then the show is very grounded in people and very identifiable situation for all of us, which is how would we react if we were without power.
Right. I think we have another question back there.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't be sure. Anyway, sorry, this is seriously. Anyway, the nanotech has, in previous episodes, taken on the appearance of various people, different characters, including some who have died. So, with that in mind, in these upcoming episodes, is there any chance that maybe we might see Danny again?
I hope that too. That's funny. That's a great question.
It is a good question, and we talk about Danny a lot in the writers' room. And the Nanos certainly give us that opportunity. I'm loath to say anything specific, so I won't. But I guess I just leave it at, we talk about Danny all the time.
Yeah. That's exciting.
I was curious about the flashbacks because it's not something where say like every episode does them, like they lost it, but you do a fair amount. It just sort of, just story to story, you kind of decide when it's the right time to do those flashbacks.
Yeah, they have to be very informative to the immediate story being told at that time. We're very judicious with it. And I don't think Eric wanted to ever fall into a pattern of there'll always be flashbacks in every episode. And there have been times when we filmed some flashbacks that, we just decided it sort of plays well without it.
Right.
Yes, it's always a very careful decision when they do it in the show.
They feel like a treat. They feel like a little presence because you get to know a little bit. But I think the fact that you are so judicious about it is nice because I think that it's not something to rely on. It's just like a little bit of a joy to see these people. Plus, it's fun.
Next question back there.
Well, first of all, we have appreciation for doing the spotlight.
Now you know
It's pretty good. I know. But you look great.
This is Kayla. She has a question for you.
One, I love your show, and is anything going to happen between Miles and Rachel?
I hope so. Have you seen Billy Bird? Let's see. No, go ahead. I enjoy all my scenes with Billy. Billy's hilarious. And I like the Miles Rachel thing. I think they're kind of made for each other in a really sad way. In a good way as well. But we have a really fun scene coming up that we both enjoy.
That's a good one.
Next question, please.
Yeah, with so many great dramas out there on TV, I turned into Revolution basically for my friend Jeff Wolf to see what he's up to. But I was surprised with all the post-apocalyptic shows coming out, how great different yours was. Why did you go what drew you into the post-apocalyptic world?
What drew you to post-apocalyptic world? What was it that drew you in?
Yeah, I wish Eric were here because it's his baby. I think it's all kind of born from that kind of bad robot world of never showing just regular Earth and regular humans. It's doing that twist on it.
It's my favorite what if. Not to interrupt, I'm so sorry, but my favorite question is always what if. And I think that you go through life and in every minute and every day you have those little fantasies that go up. What if I said that? What if I did that? What if I went up to that person? What if I did this? What if the lights went out? What if I got stuck in this elevator? I mean, maybe you don't, but I have those thoughts. So I think that this is one of those wonderful big what ifs. What if this happened? And when I tell people what the show is about, or when I was telling people before they saw it, they're like, oh, I've always wondered that. So to me, it's one of those beautiful what ifs.
I think we also live in a world now where we've all seen up close a blackout. Might have only been a few hours, might have been a couple of days. If you're in parts of West Virginia, it might have been a couple of weeks. So suddenly the what if of this show is not a distant, crazy fantasy, but actually a sort of possible, scary possibility. And I think that lends the show an underpinning of reality that it probably wouldn't have had even 10 or 20 years ago.
Oh, that was really good.
Was it interesting for you, Stephen, because you did Falling Skies shortly before this to sort of explore the post-apocalyptic world in two very different shows in sort of different ways?
Well, one of the things I love about Revolution is that there's the nano, but there otherwise are not aliens. It's not post-apocalyptic or sci-fi in the sense of creating this totally different world. It's just one huge ingredient of our lives that's been removed, and then and really the worst aliens in Revolution are people. And the things that people will do in order to survive. And I love that about it because it doesn't involve recreating a whole world with a new life form, nano aside.
I love playing these roles because they're fun, they're big. I mean, there are people pushed to their limits, and to me that's the most fun there is. It must be fun to write.
Next question, please.
Yeah, hi guys. Big fan of the show. I'm just wondering, are we going to see more of like how just Miles and Sebastian conquered the world, as it were? Like, it kind of like.
How did Miles and Monroe conquer the world? That?
Or not Miles, but Sebastian. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Sebastian.
Like a buddy flick.
That's a big open field for us, and it's definitely something that we talk about all the time. Yeah, especially as we get into Monroe and his son trying to kind of rebuild what was once there. That we're viewing that as the perfect opportunity to show how it happened the first time and how it's going to impact the dynamic between Miles and Monroe, because now there's another very important factor, which is Connor. So very much in our minds.
Well, it must have been a lot of fun for you this season to take Monroe, with all the sort of different things happening, and put him in with the group, which would seem a year ago never happened. Yeah. Was it interesting to get that energy and bounce them off everything?
No, it really was. And then the minute we saw them in with everyone, it just became an automatic. We have to figure ways to keep
so great. He's such a pleasure to watch. He's so good. He's good in any setting, right?
But it seems like he's lapsing back to his old.
Oh, that's fun too. Honestly,
he wrestled a lot.
You can read the phone book as far as I'm concerned. But yes, he does. Sorry. But yes, he can wrestle with his personal demons too. That's good.
Next question, please.
Hi. I was wondering if Rachel could ever forgive Bass.
If she could ever what with Bass?
Forgive.
Oh, forgive. That's such a good question. I think about that a lot. I think that any forgiveness would be based on the fact that how much she loves Miles and how willing she is to allow Monroe to be in their lives. But I mean, it's a pretty big thing. I'm of the mind as Elizabeth that she should probably try to forgive pretty much everything. It makes life a lot easier. But Rachel doesn't let me say that. So I don't know. Kind of hope so. It'd be really interesting to see.
You guys on the show, we mentioned this a little bit, but because it's a pretty big ensemble, you get to have sort of pairing off episodes. And there was like a little while with Rachel and Aaron, and then Gene and Miles kind of went on their adventure. Is that fun for you guys to kind of get that different energy?
Oh, I love it because it's like taking a crash course in that actor. Spending a whole episode with Billy in the basement of the bar was just. I admire all the actors on this show, so anytime, I really do, I'm just a huge Billy Bird fan. I think he's like the Steve McQueen of now. And I love because whenever you're in a concentrated scene with any of these people, there's no slouches in this group. You can't phone any of this in. And So it sort of forces you to be on your game.
You're always creepy. You couldn't come creepy right now. It's the most joyful thing. It's true.
It's been difficult recently, and now it seems like it might be more difficult given what just happened to have Giancarlo with the group as much. Is there something where are you trying to kind of think of ways where you could?
You'll be the season 3 in Monroe?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the things that was, I think, a really interesting track to take was to give Tom his own story this season for a big portion of it, which allowed us to see him almost in a hero role. He's certainly the hero, or lead character in his own story. But I always loved Tom Neville from the pilot as the villain. And so, yeah, I'd be prepared for Tom to turn, especially after the death of his son, back full bore into the Tom Neville that we knew before, and even more so.
Do we have any more audience questions? We go right there to the mic. But I wanted to ask about you also switched production this year to Texas. And how's it filming there? Yeah. So how's it filming there for you and turning, the area into Revolution area and dirtying up that?
I shouldn't say I'm from Texas. I love it. Texas is great. It was really hot when we got there,
right.
And my mom and dad were like, oh, it's just a little heat. I think it was like 108. But what's been fun is we've been able to make it look like almost anything and anywhere. I mean, we did set it in Texas, but then for any kind of fashion and whatever, it's been fun, and the people are friendly and welcoming.
There are all these towns. The other thing about Texas that is strange for a Californian or new Californian is, I remember the first day they said we were shooting in this town Bartlett, which doubles for Willoughby a lot of the time, and it's 54 miles out of Austin. 54 miles. Now, if you're in this part of the world and you had to drive 54 miles, you'd say, well, that's going to take 3 hours. Well, in Texas, you get there in less than an hour.
We like 8 mile an hour.
The speed limits are 80, 85. I mean, it's just, but all these wonderful old towns that haven't been modernized in many ways. They're towns that were probably too poor 20 or 30 years ago to tear everything down and rebuild it. So they have this wonderful old Western sense, and they can easily be made to look like all the electricity went out 15 years ago. So it's, I just love, we have this whole palette of towns, about
And the
6
people
of
are
them.
so welcoming. Like, they have a Facebook page just based on, when the people who are there for our, I mean, I don't know, it's nice people.
And Austin is an amazing city. Absolutely amazing city. It's on fire.
Yeah, it really deserves a big shout out because in terms of production and the artists we found there, the crew and all that, it's been really terrific.
Our crew's absolutely phenomenal. The way that they create those sets, you can't even. The detail, I asked him one time, I said, the camera's only seeing 30% of that. And I'm like, we do 70% just for you. And I was like, it's really nice.
True. Our art director and production designer and the set decorators, anytime we have a set, you walk in and all the work of suspending your disbelief is done for you. It's been done by these very clever people who have thought through everything that would be on the wall and made it look perfect. And as an actor, it just makes your life so much easier when that kind of care is with it.
I think we have another audience question there. Gentleman in white t-shirt.
In the writer's room, how far out are you guys? 5, 4, and when you're writing, you say, let's kill him, let's kill her. Oh no, let's not kill her, let's do not kill him, let's do him, do that. Tell us about that.
I'm sorry,
He was asking how far ahead have you planned broad strokes? Like,
And then he had the drag race.
Do you know when you want it season 5, and how do you decide upon when it's time to kill a character and that?
And you change your mind.
We change our minds a lot. I mean, we have a really good template for season 3. The turn from season 1 to 2 was, some course correction in there, and Eric really wanted a Patriot story, and he had a very clear view of that. Knew that the president obviously would be a big character based on the last episode of first season, but didn't know anything really about him. And so all that kind of evolves. When we finished breaking episode 22 of this season, the room immediately went into season 3 mode, and Eric gathered everybody for a 5-day intensive in building what season 3 is going to be. And it's really hot. I mean, I don't know how else to tell you, but it's really good stuff. So we're all incredibly excited about digging in. And as I say, it really is, you could not guess now, and even, until you see the next 2 episodes, you could not guess in any sense what's to come.
It's the last couple minutes, so if you have any last questions up there in the mic. And I just wanted to ask you about guest stars. You've had a lot of great ones come into the show. We've mentioned a couple. Is that also cool to sort of get the energy that those people bring in, whether it be Rico or Jim Beaver or all these people that have popped up on the show?
We've been really lucky. You guys have thrown us some beautiful people. That's been fun.
Jelko Ivanek is one of the best American actors out there, and for him to come in and do so many episodes and just bring so much to it. Stephen Culp, we've just really lucked out.
Rico and Maureen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We've been really lucky. It's been really fun. And it does change the energy, but in a really positive way. It's a nice group of people. So when people come in, we're really excited to see. They're like little puppies. They're like, okay, what are we going to do? What are you going to show us? What will be there? And that's nice. It's fun.
Well, guys, Revolution is coming back for the final 4 episodes of season 2 on Wednesday, April 30th, 8 p.m., 7 Central. Thank our panelists.